From one other sightings, finish.
I mean, it was hard, like, when the kids would read out loud. Then when I got called, like, I couldn't do it, and everybody would laugh at me, and, you know, and I would be embarrassed of it.
I didn't know what was the problem at the time. I had no idea until I found out about what dyslexia was.
These young men of above-average IQ all suffer from dyslexia. The term is Greek in origin and literally means difficulty with words. All are students at the nation's oldest school for dyslexic boys, the Gow School in South Wales, adjacent to Erie County's Emery Park. It was founded in 1926 by Peter Gow. His son David is the current headmaster.
It's not a disease. It's one of many learning disabilities, and it's one that is neurologically based and makes the acquisition of normal language skills among intelligent youngsters very, very difficult. And probably about 13% of the people in the United States, perhaps in the world, are dyslexic. Dyslexia is caused by a combination of factors, biochemical, genetic, and that they are getting together in causing this. We used to think that the brain of a dyslexic would be just like anybody else's brain. Now we're finding that there are organic differences.
What are the symptoms of dyslexia, and what kind of tests are taken to determine if one has it?
Well, there are various symptoms at various ages. Among very, very young children, about 2 years old, these tend to be kids to whom speech came well after the ability to walk, kids who don't like to be read to, children who have difficulty learning to tie their shoes, difficulty in cutting along the dotted line, perhaps generally more antsy than their siblings.
If dyslexia is suspected, what kind of steps must be taken?
Well, the quicker that remediation, horrible word, begins, the more likely it is that the child is going to be able to not outgrow this malaise, but at least be able to handle it comfortably in school and in life.
How about a cure? Is there a cure for dyslexia?
No, there is no known cure.
Can you recall any famous men who may have suffered from dyslexia?
Well, we know that Nelson Rockefeller was dyslexic, Hans Christian Andersen, the sculptor Rodin.
Any infamous persons?
Sure. Lee Harvey Oswald, Gary Gilmore, both of them were dyslexic. As with many dyslexics, these were very creative people, extremely frustrated people who couldn't make it within the system, so they sought attention elsewhere.
Does dyslexia run in families? Is it hereditary?
It seems to be familial. Yes, it does seem to run in families. For example, many of my kids here have mothers, fathers, uncles who had the same difficulty in school.
My father went here, and at a young age they tested me for dyslexia to see if I had the same problem my father did, and I did.
You have a brother that came through here. Did he have a similar problem?
Yes, he had the same problem with mathematics.
Gow School, which has about 150 students in residence, draws its pupils from all over the world. Tuition is close to $10,000 a year. Some have been there several years. There are 26 instructors, the classes are small in number, and the program is rigorous.
Everyone takes the usual courses. Classes are small, and the instruction is a little different, in fact, quite different. But they also take a course called Reconstructive Language, in which they do a great deal of reading, oral reading, when they follow with their finger, spelling and vocabulary work, an inordinate amount of work with sounds, phonics, syllabics, roots, prefixes, suffixes. Classes begin at 8:20 in the morning, and classes are 45 minutes long. There are 8 periods during the day. Each boy has at least 5 classes, at least 3 study halls during the day, plus a long, supervised, boring study hall at night, which makes the program work.
This is how a dyslexic person would write Dear Mom and Dad. It's Dear Mom and Dad. Now, what happens there?
Well, we have something in our in our culture called form constancy. You have a young child, and he's told that this letter is a B, and then if he looks at it this way, it's a P, and it may be a Q or a B, various angles. And this is a very difficult concept for some children to master.
What did you think was wrong?
I know I just thought I was stupid and everything, and I didn't know what was wrong.
When I was like in second grade, when I first really realized that I had a problem, my grades were slipping, and I was, like everybody else in the class, was a whole lot better than I was. And I didn't understand stuff. It was just, I was just falling behind and everything. I didn't have really much of a problem in reading at all, but I'd have a problem in remembering what I read and what the meaning of that was.
Well, I couldn't read that well, and my spelling, I couldn't spell at all. And reading, I would chop up words and stuff like that.
What did you think was wrong?
I really didn't know. People told me that I was not that smart and that I should be put in special classes, which I was. And then I didn't know. I thought I was dumb and stuff, I guess.
What kind of advice would you have for parents or teachers who may be experiencing a child with the symptoms of dyslexia?
Well, first of all, I would advise that parent or teacher not to make the mistake that many parents and teachers make, and that is to write these kids off or to call them dumb, because they aren't dumb. They just don't learn by conventional methods. And many of them have something very, very special to offer in the way of creativity. So for heaven's sakes, help these kids. Be patient. Use as much oral instruction as you can, oral, using the ears. And also try to involve them in a system of learning where they're using more than one sense. For example, if they're reading, have them read aloud, so they're looking at the word. They're hearing the word, and they're also sort of feeling the word because they're following with their finger.
This young Gao student has a message for those classmates back home who didn't understand.
I'd tell them that it's just a problem that's really common around it, and there's not much I can do about it except to learn to live with it, and it's just not that big of a problem except for reading and doing math. But I'm just like them.